now.
Okay, recording. Welcome to week 2, TCL 7. Yes. Amazing job this week, by the way.
Seriously.
So good. I'll let Michael take over, and he's going to host this one.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if we should wait for Tansy because I want to just go over the agenda real quick. So we're going to take 5 minutes apiece. Each pair is going to take 5 minutes to demo their project and their work to the rest of the team. Two big awesome reasons why we like to do demos is one, the most fun part is just to it's like a time for us all to high five and celebrate, right? Sorry, I just ate some these random wheat cookies or whatever, and they're
You need some water. You need some water.
I know. Okay, I'm good. Hey Tansy. I'm just going over the agenda. So we're gonna do 5-minute demos each team. So it's 10 minutes total. And I really like demos because it helps us all celebrate all the successes we had during the week. And it also helps everyone catch up to where we are now. So each team goes off and works on something, right? At the end of the week, we all merge it in, and it's good to just keep track of what's going on with everyone else, just in case that work impacts you down the road. After our demos, we're going to take some time to do a retro. Alejandro is going to be facilitating that. And show of hands, if it's your first time retroing, I'm interested.
First official, I've done it just informally
So I'll let Alejandro talk more about what a retro is, but they're really awesome ways for us to reflect and grow. And after the retro, we'll take 10 minutes or so and go over the tickets that we have for next week. I posted the pairs in Slack, so please jump in there and look if you're not aware of who you're going to be paired up with next week. So we're going to do demos now, and I'm just going to roll a dice in my head, and a 2 comes up, and so Devon and Megan are up. So
he said roll a dice in his head.
Yeah, I don't know. I flipped a coin.
Yeah.
So you two are up.
Right.
So
all right, yeah.
Okay.
Ready?
So I guess I'll just start showing it off. Should I share my screen?
Oh, sorry. I meant Stacy is taking over for the retro.
No big deal. It's all good. Somebody will do it. We'll all do it together.
It's fine.
Okay. Share my screen. So we were tasked with setting up some frequency of purchase functionality for the grocery list and pushing that to the database by way of adding an integer of 714 R30 to match the kind of frequency of purchase. And so I made a couple of changes due to accessibility recommendations that are still not quite finished. But yes, you would enter, I've entered lots of items, so I'm running out of items to enter, but
yeah, we were small problem.
So the walkthrough is that, say we want to purchase some chocolate and we want it super soon, which there was a suggestion of adding a class to the if check so that we know that we've pressed, which button we've pressed. So I'd like to add that for future releases. So I'm going to add it and then go to the database. And this one doesn't have as many as we did before, so I don't have to sort as much, but hopefully I can find it pretty quickly. And so here's my chocolate item. Last purchase date was supposed to be set to return null because we're going to set up the functionality for gathering that date in the future issues. And my purchase frequency is set to 7. If I had pressed another, not soon, it would be, what is it?
14.
Yeah.
It's
or 30 for not soon, or 14 for pretty soon. Okay. So this all shows up. The only other thing that's a little bit different, this is coming under the user collection, but in the code, I've put a placeholder, we put a placeholder for when Nabil and Tanzi's user token comes in, and this user prop will change to the user token. So if I were to change it right now to any other name or item, it should generate a new collection with the items that I've added. Most of the code that we did was in the add item functionality, where the purchase frequency is set to update when these radio buttons are clicked, which thank you, Nabil, for walking through that.
Teamwork.
I don't know why I could, for some reason in my mind, it was so hard formed that there were buttons. And I was like, well, buttons just enter. And I didn't think about other input options.
Yeah, I just wanted to add on because when we first started, I had another project that I did. Actually, it was a take home for an interview, but unfortunately, I didn't get the job, but I have the work, and I took the code from that. It was just a simple button feature, and we were like, oh, okay, we're gonna do that, and it worked obviously, but it didn't do what we wanted to do. And then we reached out for help, and Nabil stepped up and helped us. So that's where we but we had the right idea. We just didn't, like, the syncing with the database just wasn't working the way that we wanted. It worked, but I believe it was taking the item name, but it wasn't updating the purchase frequency originally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and tried like a select feature or select component too, but looks like the radio buttons, and for some reason in my mind I didn't even realize that you could disable the way that they normally function, and so I found a couple of articles of customizing those that worked out really well. And one hang up was kind of getting the right values out of the buttons, and Nabil helped out with that as well. And the fact that, like, I've seen the React Dev tools, but for some reason never really quite understood properly how to use them. So then I could see that the state was being updated properly. And do you have any other things, Devon? Mention?
No, that's what we did. And I think we understood what we were doing. I think it was just, I think originally we thought we had a good pathway, and then we got stuck, and we were like, how do we get out of it? And I know when we talked to Michael, we were talking about, like, we were trying to think of more of in a JavaScript math function way, but I'll be honest, we kind of got stuck with that. And when Nabil helped us, we were like, okay, let's kind of go something a little bit more direct to get it done. So
I think that's about it. I'll stop sharing that.
I really like the idea of focusing on getting it done and improving it later. I think that sometimes gets lost in the translation. When you're writing code, you want to make it perfect the first time, and it doesn't always have to be perfect. As long as it solves the problem, you can always go back and fix it. I think it'll be something you'll see down the road as you work on your 5th and 6th ticket. You'll see that you can jump in and add a little tweak here and there, or just open a PR later, completely separate from whatever your weekly work is. So yeah.
And I would encourage you, there was something that you were mentioning that you wanted to change. I think something on the submit of the item you saw room for improvement. I would fully encourage you to actually create GitHub issues like Nabil had done earlier in the week for any of these, like, improvements that you see that you'd like to make, not only so that you can go back later on when you have time and make those improvements if you wish, but also because that's a super important skill to have going into a dev role, being able to, like, articulate these kinds of things in the form of a GitHub issue. So when you see something like that, make an issue and you can go back later and take care of it.
Yay.
All right, so we have our next group up.
Hey, it's me and Tansy. I can't see Tansy. Okay, there you go.
Here.
You're like right outside of the the row on the top.
There's
Cool.
there's like a different, you can toggle different views in Zoom. I just
Done.
started doing this recently where everybody
Brady Bunch.
Yeah, the Brady Bunch. Yeah.
Great. That's awesome. Just figure that out. Thanks for that tip. I'm going to share from my computer. Tansy's having
Cheers.
yeah, computer issues right now. So cool. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Awesome. So look at this, the PowerPoint. Just using this just to set the scene a little bit. Let's see, it's not letting me. There we go. So currently our app has the capacity to navigate between the list view and the add item view, and the ability to read and write to the Firestore database. Our team collectively we're setting up additionally the ability to set up a new shopping list to track purchases and the ability to add a new item to the shopping list, which was just demoed. That went too far. It's so slow. Okay, never mind. There we go. This is working just fine. So the user story that we had is just, as a user, I want to set up a new shopping list so I can track purchased items. And so breaking down the problem, we realized that we have to, when rendering, this is basically how we broke down the problem, which is when rendering root, check if client has token in local storage. If client does have a token then we'll render the list view and show the sign-in page with the option to enter a share code or create a new list. If it doesn't have a token, we'll render sign-in. When the user clicks create a new list, they'll add a token to their local storage, route the user to add item. When the user adds an item, we'll use the token as the collection name. And when the item is added, it'll create a collection in Firestore with the token name and add a new document to the shopping item. That was long-winded. I don't think this is probably the right order to do this in, but we're just trying things out. So that's where we're at. Okay, so we're gonna demo this now. Tansy, maybe you can walk us through what is happening right now.
Okay, so this is what we kind of decided to, like, in terms of what we had to do was kind of address this kind of the architecture. When the user comes, you come to like your welcome shopping list, you have two functionalities, like you can either create your own or you can go to an existing one. So that was the thing that we had created at this point.
Yeah. And so if you click this button, you'll see right now we're using the local storage, and you're gonna see a key value pair, one that says token and one that has the generated token. So click, there you see the token, and then this is the authentication key. And yeah, next, Tansy, do you wanna?
In terms of like once you put in your item, it automatically obviously saves it in the database.
Yep. So then it uses this token key as the collection, which is going to be the shopping list. And so when we click submit, it's going to fire off to Firebase with this path. Part of that path is going to say get Kent Glut Harp, and then it'll say / and then it'll have the document name. And then because this value doesn't exist in the database, it's going to implicitly create a collection. And so we're going to click this. And then if we come over here, and go to the database, if we look it up, we should find Kent Glut Harp. And then the document should have a property with item name with a value of pomegranate. So we know that that's working. And then additionally, if you navigate over to list view, you'll see that it is rendering one of the items in the grocery. So that is it. That is our demo.
Yay.
Wow.
Yeah.
This looks amazing. This looks
Oh,
exactly
super fun.
like the example app. I'm super impressed. You're like the first
Awesome.
group to like, here's, and I mean, it makes sense since you work in design, but it's like, here's what it should look like, and then here's what it actually looks like. It's like, it's impressive. It's very cool.
Awesome.
Proud
Yeah,
of
we
you.
had a lot of fun with this.
I love the token names that you get.
Yeah.
They're wacky, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome
Sometimes
words
you have to double
inappropriate.
take, and you're like, is that? Should I delete that? Is that appropriate?
I think we got like butt harp once or something, which is like, yeah, all right.
Sounds right. That sounds exactly right. Okay, cool. Any other questions about demos, app status, things about
Have you?
I do have a question about demos. Like, are we supposed to explicitly just demo the functioning story? Are we like sharing anything else, or is it just like, hey, show us that it works, and then give the time back to the team?
Yeah, that is how we do it in our team. At least it's like in the last weeks we did this and that, and that's it. Yeah. We usually take like, for a team of 4 or 5 people, it takes like 20 minutes or something. Yeah. Yeah.
I think you did perfectly. What I loved about what you'd done, Nabil, is like putting together a really great outline of like what exactly we're going to be covering so that you know, instead of like, you know, like you could just jump in and be like, here's what happened, but like laying it out for the rest of the team can be really important because like we were saying before, they're going to be working with the feature that you just built probably next week. So for them to like kind of understand like the whole state of what you built can be really helpful.
Should we go through the code as well?
Yeah, I think going through the code is really helpful, especially if you've done something significant that you think the other team won't recognize when they see.
Should we do that right now?
I think that the code walkthrough is really helpful in cases where you're going to have conflicts, either this week or in the future weeks, because I think this week specifically the 2 stories will have a few lines of conflict there. Lines of conflict. That sounds like a weird like prog rock band. So the where you interact with the database, I think that it's just interesting just to talk it through. So then when whichever team merges their code in second, knows what the correct resolution is.
Yeah, I think it's important too to like here at Collab Lab, that's perfect because everybody you're demoing to is going to be in the code, but it also can like depend on who's at your demo. Like Alejandro was talking about the demos on his team, and there's other people there like designers and product managers and stuff who could probably care less about what's happening in the code. So it's kind of not a great use of your time to like walk them through line by line what's happening in the code. But given that your audience here is everybody who's going to be coding in the app, then that can be really helpful. Okay, awesome. Ready for retros? I am. Okay, so the reason that we do retros are A, to reflect on what has happened and what went well and what we appreciate, but B, also so that we can see how we can improve going forward so that we can continue working as an amazing team who all vibe really well together. So when you're doing retros, I tried to encourage this in Slack, but still will continue to highly encourage you to take notes along the way. If you notice something that you appreciate or that you think went really well or that can be improved, jot it down as you're thinking about it, because when we come into these retros, we're only going to have like 5 to 10 minutes to write down our thoughts. And since it covers 2 weeks, you'll like, when you're put on the spot, you're like, I don't, what happened in the last 2 weeks? I have no idea. I can't remember anything. So take those notes in advance so that we can move more thoughtfully come retro time, and be super transparent. We're all a close team here, and we're here to be honest and grow and learn together. So be transparent, be kind, but be transparent and thoughtful and honest with your feedback for yourself and for other members of the team and for the team as a whole. So retros can go different ways depending on what teams you're on. Maybe Alejandro and Michael. Alejandro, do you want to share like how retros usually go on your team? I'm saying your team. I'm on Alejandro's team. I'm probably
Sure. Well, let's see. So our demo, let's see, they last around like 1 hour. And what we do is, as you can see in GitHub, we have the same columns for our team. So the first one is appreciations, which is like what I use to say thanks. Like, thanks, I don't know, Nabil for guiding me through the accessibility issue that you found. Thanks to Stacy for helping me out. I don't know, reviewing the code. All that kind of like nice things about your team or about others. It doesn't have to be just code wise. It can be like, oh, my manager did something great for me this week, or I'm really thankful because I was able to take, I don't know, 2 days off because I was feeling stressed. You know, like all those positive vibes. So that is a good space to do that. Then what went well is like more like project focused, at least for our team. It's like we shipped, I don't know, we shipped the to-do list this week. We shipped the demo page. We shipped, I don't know, the homepage, those kind of stuff. And what could be improved is, for me, like the most important one, because like there are things that we have to improve, like all the time. There will be at least one thing that you want to improve. So you can say like, as Stacy said, like we are a close team, and it is fine to say like, I didn't like the way this, I don't know, I didn't like how the stories were written because I didn't understand it, or I had a hard time doing this, or I don't know, like just be honest and be transparent about what you want to change, because as a team, it's like you get to, I mean, you find success as a team, not as individuals. So think about that when you're on a retro and be honest, and yeah, everything will be fine. Like I have said many like things in the what could be improved column, like every single retro, and yeah, the team is really supportive and they listen to you. So
this is like your chance to be critical, and that's what this is for. So don't feel like, I don't want to like hurt someone's feelings, because like, look, we got to improve. That's what this is all about. Michael, do you have thoughts to add? Like, do you guys do it differently? I don't know what's going on in your neck of the woods.
I think that in general, that is the framework of like most retros. That's how we do it on our team. And for clarity, I'm on a separate team as Zapier than Alejandro and Stacy. So every team does things a little differently. So yeah, I think that actually the focusing on the positivity was something new that we started doing, just to get more positivity in our retros. So some retros just focus on like what to improve. It just depends on the team. I don't have a lot more to add. So
awesome. I'm not sick. I'm just choking on coffee. Anyway, slam-a-lama. Woo. Okay. Let's take 7 to 10 minutes to write down our ideas. I dropped the link to the project board in the chat. Does everybody have access to it?
Get some water.
Coffee only. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Okay, so let's start now. Let me demonstrate real quick, because it can get a little messy on this GitHub projects platform. In each of the columns, you can write your name and then do like a bullet list of the 3 things you want to write about, like this. Do you see that card in there now? Only actually use real bullets and not this. There we go. So you can like write your name so that you know which card is yours and it's easy to detect. And then you can list your 3 things. If you don't have 3 things, that's okay. If you have 2 things, if you have 1 thing, try and at least put 1 thing. And then when you're done, write done in the chat and we will go over each column. Sound good? Any questions? Good, okay. See you in 7 to 10 minutes. Don't forget to write done when you're done. And you can also feel totally free to face mute if you'd be more comfortable as you think and write. That's acceptable.
So go ahead and turn your video off.
Oh, sorry. At 35, we'll reconvene, or 36 maybe.
Stacy's Andrew.
Oh yes, I'm
I'm
Andrew.
so confused by this.
I am Andrew Hedges, your host today.
Got
We just have the one good Zoom account for recording and unlimited time. Else we'd be cut off at 40 minutes. Get your friends to donate to Collab Lab, and then I can be Stacy all the time. You can find us on GitHub. Tweet it. We're like working really hard to get our nonprofit status all worked out so that things can be super buttoned up, and we're getting very, very close, and it's exciting. But of course, because it's government, we had to send in actual paperwork with handwriting in the mail.
Wow. I mean, the next level below that, it's like you have to send like a messenger pigeon, you know.
Show up to an office somewhere. We had like submitted things, and then they sent Andrew like a hand-addressed letter asking for more information. So he had to like respond to them in the mail. I was like, oh my God, this is so archaic. All right, still waiting on a couple more. We'll give it one more minute. Oh, Tansy, I think you're muted if you're saying something.
Interviewed.
Okay. Am I the one that's only like still writing?
Megan, I think Megan might still be.
Okay.
We'll give it one more minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
$12:38.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay. With that, I think we're ready to go. And so what'll happen is I'll go through each of the cards here, and whoever wrote the card, if you just want to read what you wrote, that's fine. But this is also an opportunity to elaborate a little bit, like be mindful that we don't have all the time in the world. But if you just wrote a couple words and you kind of want to explain a little bit further what you mean, this is your time to do it. So under appreciations, we'll start with Tansy.
Who we start with?
Tansy?
Oh, okay. That like blocked. Like I didn't hear my name, but I.
Oh, sorry. My internet's been really.
Yeah, I didn't.
Sorry. Okay, yeah. If you want to read through your card.
So yeah, it was a great learning experience to work with Nabil, who pushed me to experiment fearlessly and just have fun while coding. Also going above and beyond was super inspiring, and also just to add like the whole token thing, like how that was handled was really like I think that it was cool. That was like with you, I could also learn, but also like experiment, essentially what I'm saying. Also, I appreciated like Alejandro walking us through the local storage documentation and stuff, and also just breaking down the problem for us in the beginning of the week, because I think we would have been like headless chickens if we hadn't done that before. So yeah, I appreciated that.
Amazing. I love it. Alejandro has to deal with me being a headless chicken a lot as well. So Megan, you're up.
Yeah, I just really appreciate Devon being up for meeting so many times and talking through these issues and going back and forth, trying to figure it out. And thanks to Nabil, we hit a roadblock, and so it's nice for you to kind of like do a walkthrough, because sometimes you get stuck on one thing and can't quite make yourself get out of that line of thinking. And yeah, also just the patience of trying to collaborate via Zoom on code is like, it's really complicated.
That's amazing. Nabil.
Oh, geez. Okay. Man, I just want to say like Tansy was like such a great partner. I loved when we the very first thing that she said was she just got us kicked off on breaking down the problem. And so that kind of kicked off, I think, the rest of the way that we kind of solve this. It's so easy just to jump in and just attack what you're excited about, but like taking a step back and just being like, hey, can we walk through? I think really set the tone for it, and also got some of the insights from like Alejandro for like that pivotal documentation that you're like, hey, you might want to take a look at this. I was like, that just, I think made it so much easier to complete this whole thing. Megan and Yvonne, like, thank you so much for one, being super like vulnerable, putting out the questions that you have out there, seeing a team who kind of is vulnerable that way, then struggles through, and then like comes out the other end. I think it sets the right tone for the whole team, and it gets us all like comfortable sharing earlier and often.
Totally. I love it all. Michael.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out some of the things I'm impressed with, and I'm really impressed with this entire group's communication skills. Those are really important when you're working remotely, especially, and y'all are already at like a higher level than like you've been doing this for a while. So continue to work on that and continue to improve. You're doing a great job.
Alejandro.
All right, so thanks everyone for working so hard on your issues and on Slack, asking questions. Like, you're doing great, as Michael said. It feels that to me that you're doing this for a while already. So, and that's motivates me a lot, because like you're motivated, so I'm motivated as well. So thank you for that.
Totally. Michael, did you want to go again, or?
I didn't go.
On which one?
You have 2 cards here under the appreciation column, so I didn't know if you want
yeah.
to mention that one again.
I leapfrog in my head. The other thing that I was impressed with, it was how y'all collaborated together on code reviews. I think that in the beginning, code reviews can feel like jumping into a GitHub pull request and leaving comments can feel, what's the word I'm looking for? Like there's a big boundary between you and the code, and you and the person writing the code can feel scary, right? Mm-hmm. Even like some places may discourage people from participating in code reviews until they're at like a certain level within the organization. I've seen that, which I disagree with. But I really like how everyone is jumping in and leaving comments and making it like a team effort. So a collaboration. So
awesome. Devon.
Okay, so I guess yeah, I have my comment, and I guess just general collaboration. I've kind of been out there by myself a lot, and so I think having this group, it's really cool. And I think, you know, just being in week 2, it was just very seamless. I mean, even week 1, me and Nabil just, you know, got to it, started working. I've worked remotely, so this is comfortable, but you know, we didn't know each other. We're still getting to know each other, and we just kind of jumped in and did it. So I think working with Nabil, Megan, I mean, it's great. I mean, yeah.
So good. Okay, I think my card got written over, but the 3 things that I had on there were appreciate Alejandro and Michael for jumping in so eagerly with all of the technical help and code reviews. Amazing, so inspirational, and I love it. Appreciate Nabil for doing that extra issue and tackling that. That was super above and beyond and amazing. That was fun and exciting to see. I love it when people create GitHub issues. It's not weird. I really love it, but that was awesome. And 3, thank you all for like being so dedicated and working so hard during pandemic times. Like, I recognize that it's not as fresh as it was like in our last cohort when it all kind of spiraled mid program, but it's still a freaking hard, weird thing to have in our lives. And you're all awesome for being so dedicated to each other during like, what the fuck is this? Anyway, thanks. Appreciate you all. Okay, let's hop into what went well. Tansy.
Sorry, can I just?
Yeah.
Can I just say one, because I didn't know that I totally spaced on the mentor part of it. I was like, okay, our immediate team. But I wanted to like branch out and just like say more like, thank you so much for being so like available on Slack. before Survivor. Michael, thank you, Alejandro. I actually think I've bothered each and every one of you, and it's been incredibly helpful. Thank you.
Perfect. Okay. What went well? Starting with Tansy.
Okay, so just like I should say like the level of understanding between like the pairs. Even working with Megan, it was really fun. I think 1 hour we just talked about our interests, which were really mutual. Just becoming friends on like that kind of level as well. And then also with Nabil and like just talking about random stuff. So I think that was kind of nice, even though we're in like separate places. Also the mentors stepping in with our crises, like Alejandro and like Stacy, also with my really like stupid like NPM yarn thing. And Michael just teaching us about like the Firestore document collection thing, like the first week, you know, like just being able to learn without fear and embarrassment. I think that was like a huge thing. Like that went really well for me.
I love it. Megan.
Yeah, the communication has been great. I would back up what Nabil said about working with Tanzi. Like immediately, I was like, break this down into things that are understandable, which is super helpful. And then being able to communicate with the whole team and the mentors, not just stuck within the cohort that we're working on. Like we could reach out to each other, and then sharing all the knowledge that we're finding and coming up with as we're working through, for sure.
Love that part. Nabil, Penguin Nabil.
Yeah, it makes it easier for me to see myself. Yeah, the things that went super well, I think just breaking down the problem before starting, and then re-breaking it down when your knowledge gets updated. That's super helpful. Also, reaching out to mentors, sometimes just to verify that like at like a high level that you're understanding it correctly. So you're not investing a whole bunch of energy chasing down a problem when the foundation is like unsound. Updating learnings on the issue. I may do this a little too much, but just like as soon as if it's like a cool thing that's kind of related to the issue, just I think Stacy mentioned this last time. I'm just like, oh, you should just like drop it in there. It made the PR so much easier. Probably a little too long, but I was just able to like drag and drop a bunch of things in there from the issues, and it was kind of just a cool log. You can see how you're like, oh, that's where I misunderstood this concept, and then I learned about like how I fixed it here, and then Loom was like great. And then lastly, the meeting for peer programming was really foundational. But then also like working independently was great. I think the first week I was like thinking, oh, we have to like do everything together during the peer programming, and I didn't know what the breakdown was for just like working independently. And then this time we had like a great cadence, and it kind of made it more exciting. Sometimes like I lost my shit when Tansy like connected the collection together and made it so like we could see all the items on the grocery list. I was like, yes, this is great. So it's like cool to have like the rhythm and then also like the variation in there.
I love it. And I just want to take a quick second to say your PR descriptions are not too long. They're beautiful and perfect. And I think those, like this documentation you're putting together serves so many different purposes. One, I would encourage you all to take these processes that you're putting together and blog about them, because that's going to show like future employers that you know what you're doing and you know how to teach other people about it, which is very valuable. It also will play a big role in if you do go into interview and you have to walk through a technical problem that you solved, you can pop back in and refresh on like, what were the challenges that I faced and how did I overcome them? And that can be like really good to walk through for interviews and when you're teaching other people stuff. So keep it up, keep that documentation up, use it, publish it, get it out so people can see it. Devon.
Yeah, so actually I have to go back to my comment. I think just I've been impressed with how I think everybody, but working with Nabil and Megan, like we, you know, accept the criteria, we kind of just in both weeks, it's just been really, we've done it and we're like, okay, is that it? Like, well, you know, I mean, we've run into some roadblocks, but yeah, just 1, 2, 3, just kind of doing that. That's been really amazing. I think also the pull request, working with pull request, I have never done it before. So last week, I was pretty hesitant. This week, it was like, okay, this is what we got to do. Thank you, Stacy, for the I guess the format, but just knowing that in general and how it's used in projects, and also just working across time zones. I know we're kind of split here. Basically, everybody, like half of us are on the East Coast, half are on the West Coast, and I think that can be a bit tricky. But no, it's been really good. So
I love it. Ale.
There you go. Yeah, well, the PR descriptions are amazing. Like, oh my God, like they're great. Keep doing that. Like,
yay.
yeah, I love it. And it makes super easy for me to review your code and for everybody else to review and to QA it. So great. Keep doing that, please. Also, you're communicating really well. Either you see it on PRs or in Slack. So keep doing that. And yeah, you're asking a lot of questions. Like there's no such thing as a silly question. So yeah, keep asking.
Very
Yeah,
true.
that's a good way to learn.
Mm-hmm. And answering those questions, like if like I know Nabil jumped in with the other pair, like if you see a question from the other pair and you want to find out the answer, or you know the answer, like share it. That's how you learn too. It's like by teaching. So do that. Great job. Okay. Sharing of additional learnings, that's basically what I just said. I love getting into Slack and seeing like all these articles of things that might be relevant or interesting to the cohort. Keep that up. Buttoned up demos and PRs are amazing. Good job. And working as a whole team, I love seeing that. Like, again, you don't have to stay within just your pair. If you have extra time or knowledge to spare, like this is your team. Everybody's here for each other. So don't feel like you need to be siloed into those pairs. What could be improved? Let's start with Tansy again. That's just the order these are going in.
So I guess like one thing, excuse me, that I would have liked was like before the Collab Lab started, maybe like, I don't know, document being like, hey, this is how you can prep on like React or Firebase, especially if like, you know, maybe React was like, I don't know, I did it like, I don't know, 6 months ago. So like just maybe like a listing of like, these are some courses to brush up or like some documentation to read. I only had number 2 because I felt like I shouldn't just have a number 1. So number 2 doesn't really matter. But like before we go into our pairs, maybe we should have like a walkthrough of the problem, like our individual weak problems, like comparative. So that was it.
Cool. Megan?
Yeah, my this is on my fault too, is like getting my getting scheduled with like the way that it's supposed to be documented, so not having like a PR on a Saturday. Mostly just because we got kind of stuck, but we figured it out. And sometimes the live coding via Zoom, like we tried to control each other's like screens, which is kind of complex and doesn't work so well. But I know there's some live coding stuff that you can do in different IDEs, but everybody might be using a different one, so I don't know. And then understanding, I tend to overthink things. I don't know if other people do, but getting to the gist of what the accepted criteria is, and overworking like what's necessary. Like sometimes maybe like going too far in my mind, which kind of hinders getting it done versus trying to make it perfect, so to speak.
Love it. Nabil?
Okay. Yeah, I thought just I want to get better at just practicing presentations before we actually present. I think I've fallen short of with that, like myself personally, like just putting it off until basically the past 2 weeks. We've kind of just been winging it. I like to be like better at that. Submitting PRs on time, I think will be like helpful. That way it's not smashing both like peer review and mentor review. I think it's nice to have like a day between the two. So I remember like last week when we saw the mentors already in and commenting on everything. I can't think of another word, but this sounds like very negative. It robs you of the chance to like struggle through it and figure out how to do it. But it was actually really good for the first week to see what that looks like, because I know I could like pull out sections of the code. The other one is just, talking about shared parts of an issue. I just realized that our two issues this week at an intersecting point. And I didn't even know that until you had mentioned it in Slack. And then I looked at the code and I was like, oh, these two parts should talk. And so I could see, I am actually like just reading the two issues, if I could see them doing the token thing or us doing the token thing. So I could see there could be duplicative work happening. So just like, I think just, I agree with the +1 on the sharing ahead of time. So I'm going over on this. Let's see, merges at the end of the week. Like, yeah, so I'm pretty sure there's gonna be conflicts. I'm not really sure like where that fits into our like week schedule or like how we should do that. I didn't merge the PR that we have right now, even though it's good to go for a merge, because I think like last week, Megan, I saw like the timestamps, looks like you put in some good hours just trying to do all the merge conflicts. Probably not fair to have you do that alone without like a rep from the other team. So it's just seamless. Designing tests, designing app architecture too. So I feel like we're getting to a point where it's like we should probably be constructing this a certain way, and the way we're dealing with state and where it's living should have like an approach. So just like, where do we have like approaches for things? The way we're constructing CSS, doing this type of stuff, just overall, and just yeah, I think that's it.
Awesome. Okay, Devon.
Okay, so let me, what did I write? It's funny. It's funny we forget. We just wrote this and I'm like, like I don't know, what could be improved? For me, I think the bill definitely hit a couple points that I was thinking about. I think he was talking about architecture, but I think overall scope, like I get bogged down in the groups a bit, and it's like, okay, this is our task, and it's like, okay, we're building a big app, and you may go back to it, and a wider app, and you may go back to it, and like, okay, this is how it is. But yeah, this week our issues, we saw there was overlap, and me and Megan talked about it, and we were like, oh, and before like day one, we were like, is that their issue? Like, we did that, and we didn't know. I think we spent literally probably about 10-15 minutes trying to see where our overlap could be, like, where do we stop and where do they kind of start, and we were like, do we stop here, do we keep going, like what do we do? So I think that also, and just me personally, I know Michael had talked about it with React. Like I don't have a lot of experience with React, and just getting comfortable with that, because I'm so used to wanting to be like, oh, let's kind of just do it from scratch and do it, build it out. But React has the components that can help you out. So I think just problem solving, basically kind of letting React help you do that, because just been used to kind of doing it from the bottom, I guess you could say. So that's what I wrote. Yeah, if anybody else has anything else to add, because yeah, these are all great. I was nodding like what Nabil was saying, and Meg, everybody. I think we all have some of the same concerns.
Oh, okay, great, perfect. We're like getting really crunched on time, so I'm going to fly through these, and then we'll split off and go over those issues. But when in Slack, like the first, I think, thing that I saw that could be improved, if you're asking a question, be sure to detail it really well. Not only does it help, a mentor or a teammate know like how long they might have to spend helping it or how to prepare to answer the question, but also helps you articulate questions, which is a really important skill to have. Let's keep pushing on getting those PRs in about midweek so that we can do things like deal with merge conflicts and code reviews and stuff with less pressure. And the pandemic could be improved, but we're not really in charge of that, but it is a thing. So we'll do what we can. Alejandro.
Sure, I only have one thing. It is weird that we have an issue with Netlify with our redirect, and I think that is happening for quite some time. Andrew mentioned that on GitHub, so I guess we can take a look at it. It's not a big deal, but yeah, that's the only thing I have.
Perfect. Michael.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a point to encourage you all to let us know if the mentors don't feel accessible, but from the sounds of everything, I typed that before we went through this, so it sounds like y'all are feeling like you can talk to us, and that's what I want. So continue to do that.
Amazing.
It's fun
Okay.
to jump on. It's fun to jump on random Zoom calls and talk to y'all. So I like it.
Aww, so sweet. Okay, usually we would go over action items, but since we don't have time, what I'll do is start a Slack thread where we can talk about, we'll pick like 3 things that we definitely want to like solid work on doing better next week. But we'll do that in Slack async, and we'll move on to kind of getting the issues for this week sorted.
Cool.
Good. Michael, do you want to roll over that or do you want me to?
Roll over to the issues for next week.
Yeah.
Well, you're on. Oh, let me just go over them. Sorry, I thought you meant do the breakout rooms. So
Well, I can do the breakout rooms. Let's just talk about what they are and who the pairs are.
yeah. So let me share my screen real quick. So
It looks like the pairs for week 3 are Nabil and Megan, and pair number 2 is Devon and Tansy. I'll start.
There we go.
For them.
So we have, as a user, I wanted to join an existing shopping list. So I can share a shopping list with someone. And as a user, I want to be alerted when I'm entering an item that is the same as something already on my list so I can avoid duplicate items. So 6 is about like validating your data and checking to see if something exists in the database before you add it. 5 is still some database operations. So both of them are database related, entering data and checking data. So does anyone have any preference to which one they're going to pick up?
Tansy, any preference?
I'm going to have to roll dice in my
whatever
head.
you feel.
Let's go with 6.
All right.
I feel like I'm on Jeopardy or something.
Is this your GitHub username, Tansy?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. And Devon, right?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, cool. All right, so do you want to get the breakout room started?
Yep, they're started. I went ahead and stuck you, Michael, in issue number 6 with Devon and Tansy, and Ale is with Megan and Nabil. Ready?
All right.
Great demoing and retroing, everyone. Great week. Keep up the good work, and excited to see what you do next week. Okay, opening all rooms.